Welcome, welcome everybody to the big broadcast. We have had a full morning already around here.
Yeah.
I won't trouble you with that.
Right. It is Erev Shabbat. It is the 34th day of counting the Omer. And we are in chapter 8 of Shir HaShirim, the last chapter, as we move through, right?
You betcha, baby.
It's interesting. I think, this last chapter could really go a lot slower because it seems to be fragments of the poem. Like this 34th day. Yesterday, we were Hod and Hod, right?
You betcha, baby.
So we're moving through.
We're in Yesod today. Yesod within Hod.
Wow.
So
we need that.
And we're developing a whole corpus of poetry this time with this effort. And start work on some songs. Who knows what'll come out of this? Where's your face? Oh, there's your face. Okay. We're drinking a dark tea from the mountains of Ceylon, nowadays Sri Lanka, planted by the Scotsman James Taylor, dark enough to accommodate a little milk in the English style. Amen. Drinking it in a clear glass in the Russian style. והרבנה אדוני אלוהינו את דברי תורתך בפינו ובפי עמך בית ישראל, ונחיה אנחנו וצאצאינו וצאצאי עמך בית ישראל. כולנו יודעי שמך ולומדי תורתך לשמה. ברוך אתה אדוני המלמד תורה לעמו ישראל. Amen. Oh God, make the words, oh God, pause. Make the words of your teaching pleasant on our lips of all of those that come into our circle, so that we can spend a time in learning for the gates that it opens, for the insight and for the opening into inwardliness that these weeks of the Omer that we're counting signify. Blessed are you who teach us in this fashion. Amen. You with us, baby?
I am.
There you go.
Okay.
I'm joined here by my partner, my sacred partner.
Yeah.
Collaborationist, instigationist.
It's interesting, Jim. I'm about to do 2 weddings for people who I did really small COVID weddings for, expecting that by now they would be able to have bigger weddings, and they're going to go ahead with them, even though it's not a terribly safe time to do so. More and more people are coming down with, variations of this COVID virus. But, I've been talking to them, and even within the 2 years, there's such a difference in their relationships. People, it's this, I think
After 2 years?
Well, it's the growth. It's what happens when you use the words once in a poem, when you fold into each other. You begin to fold into each other. And there's something about Song of Songs. There's something about moving through the Omer together. Even with the people that we're getting to know through the screens, you begin to fold into each other. You begin to care on a deeper level of what's happening with people and in their lives,
Well, I think there's always something sacred about the conventicle of learning.
Yeah,
that's
that
always
learning
true.
together.
That's
That's
always
so
true.
true. It is about learning together. And, it's textual learning. It's this kind of learning. Like one couple I've been talking to, they had a baby during this time. Talk about learning about each other and about their instincts and about who they really are. That comes out with parenting, right? Another couple going through fertility issues and having to make decisions about, carrying a baby and where it's going to come from. I don't know. It just seems like it's important to mark how you begin to belong to each other in ways that
that's good.
make a difference.
Yeah.
In how you relate and how you speak to each other and how you listen to each other. How you care. I don't know.
Well, let me make my apologies first.
Okay.
I apologize for there's so much in the air here. My voice keeps coming in and out and coughing and sneezing and stuff. And secondly, I can't figure out whether glasses or no glasses. I can't see or I can see. I had stuff done in my eyes, and sometimes I can't see my stuff, and sometimes I can. It's complicated. Anyway, I apologize for all this movement in that direction. Distracting. It's distracting. Sound and visual distracting. Anyway, I'm done with the apologies.
You're forgiven. I mean, those are not things you need to be forgiven for. They just are what they are.
Can you forgive me for that?
It's not necessary.
You're the only one who can.
I know, that's true. It's funny. I was talking about forgiveness this morning, about how when you really kind of screw up something that is, it's really important how you live with it. How you live with it. Yeah. So we are about in the 5th week, Yesod within Hod. So let's hear a little bit.
Here. Hi, Larry. Hi, Jody. Hi, Alyssa. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Susan E. Yeah, that's all I see. Check your messages. Somebody's chatting with us.
Yeah.
Okay, counting 5th week. Yesod within Hod. Something.
Our new baby has a big brain.
Good. Yesod within Hod. The week of Hod, some sort of beauty, grateful. That's funny. Humble.
Big brain, average body.
Some sort of beauty, grateful, humble.
Sorry.
How difficult was it? Okay, the week of Hod, some sort of beauty, grateful, humble. Let's remember to sing a song for Shabbos before we finish today.
Yeah. It is so sweet to have a Shabbos tonight. We need it.
How difficult was it last week, that elusive triumphalism we felt the absence of? Do not think of it independently from this week. Hod, they are bonded together more than the other dyads of the Sephirotic system, more than the two above, for example, Chesed and Gevurah, love and restraint. More bonded together, these. Yesod, the wisdom, settles into body wisdom. What we know to what we do. The works of our hands, ma'aseh yadenu. To make the road ahead a spiritual experience. Chesed, love, Gevurah, restraint, Tiferet, beauty. Netzach, we think you know. Hod, you don't.
You don't. So true.
Foundation in the body. Malchut, the spigot. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishem mitzvotav v'tzivanu asfirat ha'omer. Hayom arba'a shloshim yom shehem arba'a shvuot v'shisha yamim la'omer. Today is day 34 of the Omer, which is 4 weeks and how many days? 6 days, I think. Yes, and 6 days of the Omer.
34.
Catching my own mistakes here. Bless our president,
Right.
our vice president, our mayor, and all their noble retinue, especially their noble retinue, the people that I know that work on my side of government are there for noble reasons.
Yeah.
The counting of the Omer, as taught by Randy Newman, Paul Simon, Joni, Prince, beloved Laura, Richard Thompson, and Ben Bagbag. Fountain, its origins, love chesed, loving kindness overflowing, negotiations by Gevura, restraint. Lifted up and balanced into Tiferet, beauty. With Netzach this time ready, second pass, you think you know. You don't know. Looking for soul in Hode, settling into synthesis. Yesod in your slacks. With Malchut, your spigot. Turn it. Don't turn it. Okay, why we count in threes during the Omer. Look ahead. What was missing last week may appear this week. Or together they may make a unity that will be expressed next week. 3 weeks. Last week, this week, next week. That's why we think in threes during the Omer. Amen. And this
Amen.
last one. Oh no,
Yeah.
there's two more. I'll only do one more.
Okay.
Why we think three during the Omer.
Yeah, these threes are powerful. They keep coming up in everything, don't they?
Yeah.
They do. Keep going. Sorry.
It's all right. Why we think three during the Omer, another opinion. With 32 mystical pasts. here's the epigraph. It's a citation from Sefer Yetzirah. With three, oh my God.
What's
With
wrong?
32 mystical paths of wisdom, 32
Right.
equals the 10 principles, Sfirot, and the 22 letters
Right.
of the Hebrew alphabet. Engraved Yah and created a world with three Sfarim, with text, Sefer, with element or number, Sfar, and with story, Sipur.
That's
Sefer
the one.
Yetzirah, 1:1. There it is from one of the earliest texts of Jewish mysticism, Sefer Yetzirah, between 3rd and 5th century CE. The three interacting principles, there is a text, there is an elemental, that is a finite amount of principles. Some we know, some we may not know, universals. And there are the interpretations, the stories, the limits, only, oh, that's good, only the limits of our imaginations. Whew, so glad about that. This has been a very busy 15 minutes. 3. There is the elemental, fundamental, like universal, like Svirot, a certain set of principles, let's say for the sake of discussion, 10.
Right.
There is a text, a tale. There is the text of existence, the individual texts of our lives. There is the story, working the text, the story elastic as it is. Again, the limitations, only the limitations of our willingness to work our own tales. That's why we think in threes, triads, during the counting of the Omer. Amen.
Amen.
All right, one more. Dr. M teaches the Omer. I want to honor my teachers' inspirations and influences. Dr. M teaches the Omer. You'll be the quote.
Almost all your certainty is misplaced.
Thank you.
That's so true.
Fountain, its origins toward love. Oh, we already read this one. Okay.
Yep, we did it.
It's a different version, that's all. Fountain its origins toward love, love chesed, loving kindness overflowing, bordered by this is the same, but with the
Restraint.
rock and roll taken out of it.
Right.
Loving kindness overflowing, bordered by gevura, restraint, lifted and balanced into tiferet, beauty. With netzach, or renewal of confidence, second pass, you think you know, you don't know. Hold on,
Right.
speaks Hod, settling into synthesis, yesod in your body
That's
with
today.
malchut, the spigot. Open, not open.
You know, it's interesting because we'll miss Malchut
That's right.
tomorrow.
Well, we'll do it on
Shabbat.
Sunday. We'll review, you know what I
We'll
mean?
review.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll get the spigot. But
'Cause
remember that the spigot is this week on Shabbat.
Shabbat, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That works.
It's Shabbos tomorrow.
Because you weren't here last week on Sunday, and on Sunday I did both.
You did both. I was
did
really
catch
sick.
up.
Boy.
Well, we're glad you're back. Let's get
Grateful
some
for.
Shir HaShirim.
Okay. Yeah. So did you do the blessing for learning?
For what?
For learning?
I did.
You did. Okay. So we got to verse 5 last time of Shir HaShirim, the Song of All Songs, in chapter 8. And both of our poets here, Blachs and Marcia Falk, just give us the first part of verse 5 as a poem. Mizotola min hamidbar, right? Mitra Peket al Doda, right? Al Doda.
Yeah.
Right? So they stop it there, al Doda. They stop it right there. They don't even finish verse 5. The poem is this: who is this approaching up from the wilderness? Her head leaning upon him, or her arm upon her lover's arm. And the reason that Marcia Falk gives for that is 26. She says it seems to be a fragment, the first line of the Hebrew rendered as 2 lines in the English, just a duplication of the opening line of Hebrew poem of 14, which was. Do you remember 14?
Of what?
Well, she says it's thematically distinct from the second half of the verse. She saw no reason to join them, and I have to say that so did the Blachs. The Blachs say it's Mizot Olah min hamidbar. Look at chapter 3, verse 6. Look at chapter 3, verse 6. Chapter 3, verse 6.
Yeah. Mizotola min hamidbar.
Right. Same thing. Mizotola min hamidbar.
But like pillars of smoke.
Right. Right.
The imagery.
Allah.
Here.
Allah.
Mizotola min hamidbar, and then mitra peket, like leaning upon her dod. Tachat hatapuach, under the apple tree. Yeah.
So the at least the redactors have her coming home. She's, again, we said this yesterday, she's leaving the royal palace. She's leaving the seduction of the harems and the wealth and the accessibility to all the spices and the oils and the wealth, the richness there. She's leaving that world and coming home to her mother's, to the fields, to the pastures, to the flock, to the place where they fell in love, where she was able to be free of all the expectations, right? And the worrying about dirtying her feet, worrying about getting dressed to see him, all of those things that we've experienced. So whether these are fragments or not, the redactor has given us a story, right, to follow.
Yeah.
The editor has given us a story.
Right,
here.
and the commentary I cite a lot too.
What does it say?
He also takes this out, so to speak. He says this verse has occasioned much difficulty to commentators, since it doesn't seem to connect with either what precedes or what follows.
I don't know.
And
Yeah.
Plus we had it before. It's either a variant of the other one, or
right. 3/6.
that has in some way become misplaced, or it's the beginning of another song.
Right.
The continuation may be lost. So it's interesting that he does the same thing. This seems to be snatched from another song, which was inserted here because of the reference to apples at the closing
Right.
of the preceding song.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be true.
Because the second part of that verse, which both Bloch and Marcia Falk suggest is a second poem, under the quince or apple tree, you woke to my touch. There.
Yeah. So I think we
Thy
should leave it
mother, there thy mother birthed thee, right? She conceived and carried and bore you.
I'd like to
so
mention just
beautiful.
for a second, I never mentioned this, and we're almost done.
What?
This commentary that I cite is so interesting.
Why don't we finish with that? Because I really think we should just give that half of the verse its due. It's beautiful. We had that. It was in our library.
Yeah.
Yeah. You must have bought it at a book sale somewhere.
I don't know, but it's published in like 1920.
Yeah.
And it's a linguistically oriented commentary, of course. Look, Gray's Bookstore, Milwaukee. $20. It's a long time ago, kid. Anyway, that's Morris Jastrow. The son of this Morris Jastrow Jr.
Oh.
The son of who gave us our dictionary that we use often of Rabbinic Hebrew and copyright 1921. Rabbinic Hebrew and 1921. And Aramaic, and we use it a lot. And he was known in Philadelphia. His son came over to this country too and worked with his father for a year, and then went off into academics. Taught at the University of Pennsylvania.
Nice.
And gave his life to scholarship. So we cite his father's work all the time. We use the Jastrow dictionary. And this was his son that did this commentary that's also linguistically oriented. It's really interesting. And I use it a lot. So, okay, great.
What does he say about that? So he says also it's something separate. It's something inserted. But again, I love the flow that the editor is trying to suggest here. Maybe the editor's trying to bring her home. Bring her home. Bring her home to her mother's tent. Not his mother's tent, her mother's tent. The place where her mother, there's just this whole inherited, we can inherit trauma, and we can also inherit beauty, right? We can inherit love. We can inherit for the good, maybe.
Yeah.
So let's read it one more time. Who is this? Mizot ola min hamidbar. Who is this approaching up from the wilderness? Arm on her lover's arm. And Marcia Falk, who is that rising from the desert? Her head on her lover's shoulder. So that's just half of verse 5 in chapter 8. And we'll pick it up on Sunday morning as we continue counting the Omer and moving through. Here's the Jastrow.
This, I believe, was his father, Marcus Jastrow. We use this all the time.
Marcus Jastrow.
Take out your Jastrow. Sefer Milim of the Targumim, Talmud, Bavli, Yerushalmi, Midrashic Literature, Professor Marcus Jastrow. I believe this is his son.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting, this world of scholarship of that generation. I'll also make one other kind of meta note here. And that is the commentators, the scholars, the scholarship of former eras were much quicker to to suppose different documents than I think we are nowadays, or one is nowadays. We tend to read it more like literature, like the way literature, the rhythms of literature, rather than the this is from another place, this is a gloss, this is an insert, it's, which was, I think, much more common in other generations than it is in ours. And, I get that. I understand that. There is a rhythm to it that you can pull out that is interesting and deliberate. And this is challenging, this text, because it does seem to have such different movement in it than other texts we've read.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different movement in this text.
A lot of movement.
Let's sing the Shabbos song. What do you say?
Yeah.
Before.
Okay. We'll end with a Shabbos song, a little healing prayer, and
first a prayer for healing, then a Shabbos
healing,
song.
and then we'll end with Shabbat. Sounds good.
רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף. רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף.
For Laura and her baby.
רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף. The healing of the spirit, the healing of the body, for those we know, for those we don't know. On my right, the angel Michael, on my left, the angel Gabriel. In front of me, the angel Uriel, behind me, the angel Raphael. But my head, but my head, but my head, but my head, but my head. Shekhinah. Let's read some of these names. Lori Sekafetz Pike and her family. Salem Kutch, Lucille Granford, Pat Pinchas, Claire Pasternak, Jackie David.
Shabbat Shalom, Vicky.
ברוך אתה אדוני רופא החולים. אמן. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, shalom. 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 Shabbat shalom, shalom. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, shalom. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thanks
Good
for being with
Shabbos.
us.
Have
We
a
hope
good
it's a
Shabbos.
Shabbat Shalom.
And just come back on Sunday.
We'll be back Sunday morning.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Hashem. Amen.
For sure.